Okay, so hi everybody. So I'm Lance. Just to give you a little bit of background as to who I am, and then everybody can just introduce their names, because obviously over the next 3 weekends, we'll just build on things as we're going along. And just to also start off, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Okay. So if something pops into your mind you want to ask, please put it out there. If something's not explained clearly, let me know. We can always just keep going back and hit it from a different angle until you have the light goes on. But okay, so my name's Lance. My introduction to QiGong was quite young. I was in standard 6, and I was a Bruce Lee fan, a big Bruce Lee fan. Anyway, and there was a Kung Fu studio around it was actually quite far from me. It was about an hour's cycle, because I used to get everywhere on a bicycle. But it was a very good studio. Anyway, I started studying this martial arts with this guy named Sifu Yahan. And within a short couple of months, his instructor was training him in a different style. He had just got back from Japan. He had trained with him on and off. He was in Japan and around China and all those places for, I think it was probably close on about 20 years. And so I was training with my instructor in Wing Chun, and then I was training with this other instructor in Hakwan. Hakwan means monkey. And he happened to have gone quite deep into QiGong. He could do some amazing stuff, just in terms of grounding, and he could lift the center of gravity, and he could do some really cool stuff. And within a short space of time, he approached me and he said, "Listen, I'd like to start teaching you some QiGong." And that's kind of where it started with me. And then later on, as I went on, I had a little small accident with a chainsaw on the left leg, which then interfered with me doing the martial arts side of it, because I've got not very good mobility on this foot in terms of fighting. The foot wants to collapse and stuff. So I actually went deeper just into the more internal arts, and found out that there's just endless mysteries to be discovered in there. But yeah, so I started in standard 6. There's different kinds of, so actually before I go there, just who has done QiGong before? Well, you've obviously done a little bit with me, but it's...
I did like half a lesson at the Shanty Festival before Hunter. I had to go run.
Oh yeah, okay, then you had to do mommy duties. Yeah. Okay, and you said you did a little bit of Tai Chi. Mm-hmm. Okay, and anybody, and then so do we? Also, I just want to kind of get a feeling of one's expectations, or we're just coming here like babies. Very curious.
Curious.
Yeah.
But I think during a yoga course, teaching course, there was like a bit of a.
Okay.
He just said this. Oh, we're bringing in QiGong, and I was like, "What's that? I don't know, but it feels nice."
Okay, that feels nice. Okay, cool. That's a good start. Okay. Okay. So let's get into kind of. So this is kind of an introductory course. We're going to just to give you a little bit of a roadmap. So on the Saturdays, we're going to be focusing more on what we call formula. Okay, formula is kind of like a QiGong recipe. A formula basically takes advantage of certain physiological and psychological processes, and they put it together in a recipe, which if you repeat on an ongoing basis, you basically are producing some very profound effects. It's got some tremendous physiological effects, So for instance, things like the inner smile. When you smile internally in a structured manner, through the nervous system to the vital organs, down the digestive system, your body actually starts to produce certain chemicals. We call it dosing. It's like your daily dose of chemicals. So dosing, dose is an acronym for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Those are all your happy chemicals. It's a really powerful way of also offsetting your stress hormones like cortisol and those type of things. So. And the inner smile, when you practice it regularly, almost every day, when I wake up, before I even climb out of bed, I quickly run through the inner smile. And then if I'm sitting, waiting, for the doctor, I'll sit there and I'll smile to my internal organs. And, I just find opportunities all the time. And then what happens is, as you do that, more and more, you start to wire the brain. You actually grow neural pathways and ganglion, which is like nerve clumpings. And you actually wire yourself for happiness. A lot of people will they're so negative, they go into negative thinking patterns, you know, they're always bitching and moaning about stuff. What they don't realize is they're literally wiring themselves for negativity. And that's why people get very old and cranky. So that's just one of the basic formulas we'll go into, but that's a formula, structured formula that utilizes physiological and psychological tools or habits that you do regularly that gives you access to just a different experience of reality, of life, you know. And when I say a different experience of reality, when you're happy and how you experience life is very different to when you're miserable, or when you fall in love, how you experience reality is very different. So these really is, QiGong also is very, very big into structuring states of consciousness. There's different states of mind that we have, everything, I mean, everybody's heard the basics, you know, you get alpha, beta, theta, and what's the other one? But you've got your different brain wavelengths. I mean, that's a basic breakdown, but there's lots of different subtle, I mean, every time you experience a form of success, you know, there's different things that you can use, you know, you've got things like anchoring, you know. I find, I use a particular hand mudra when I really feel connected and whatever, I'll actually go into this hand mudra and I'll do that every single time. And then now because I've been doing that for a long time, I just, as soon as I put that hand mudra in, within a matter of 5-10 seconds, I can go into a certain state and be, you know, a certain experience that I've anchored to that. But okay, so if you open up your,
almost like
yeah,
a form of programming.
very
You
much
actually
so.
program your body and your mind and your spirit that when you do that you actually immediately, it starts knowing that, okay, this is where we're going.
Yeah, and also it's also quite low, because then each time you do, like for instance, if you do a progressive relaxation exercise, each time you do it, you go a little bit deeper each time, and you get there a lot quicker, especially if you create anchors for that. So your formulas actually become anchors for that. Sometimes I will even just think of the anchor or think of a formula, and suddenly I'm in it, and this whole, you know, the experiences start happening, which is, and we know this naturally. You know, if you were going through a specific stage in your life, maybe your first love, and he broke your heart, and you just kept on listening to this one album over and over, and then 20 years later, the album comes on, and you just have this euphoric, you have this recall, and you're like, oh, and you go back into it, and you're like, oh, get all nostalgic, and that's a form of anchoring. Like, so yes, you can use that as a technology. There are other disciplines like NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. You'll find some of that creeps into. There's a lot of shared information between those disciplines, NLP and QiGong, because in NLP also you've got formula, an NLP formula, which does basically the same thing as your QiGong formulas. So in the system that I study, there's over 350 formula in the entire system. Most people, I don't even know if I'll be able to get through all of them, but even if you do 5 of those, it's quite life-changing, if I can say that. Okay, so let's open up. I'm also gonna skip because there's a lot of different. Yeah, sure.
Dose. Just repeat those formula for dose. What is this one? Dopamine?
Oh, for dosing, so you get dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. Those are the main ones. There are others.
Okay.
So those chemicals as well in QiGong. So we've got 3 kinds of processes in Qi. So you've got your lower dantian, which is based on or is connected to what we call Jing. The word Jing in QiGong means your essences. So once you break your food down and water down, and eventually you start getting to the points of like hormones and ATP in the body, and that starts to be regarded as Jing, your essences. Then when you take those essences and then you take it into an alchemical process, you can transform that into Qi, which is bioelectromagnetic energy. So bioelectricity and biomagnetism. Bio meaning biological, electricity, and magnetism is which then makes up your energy field. So you've got all the electricity, all the little messages, the Qi messages, or the flow of Qi running through your nervous system as an example, or messages from cell to cell, or through the fascia, or even through your muscle fibers and whatnot. So that's bioelectricity, and then where there's electricity, there's always a magnetic field. So that magnetic field then becomes the magnetic part of the energy. That energy system then acts almost like a Wi-Fi system for the internal organs to be able to communicate. Your organs do not just communicate through just the nervous system. It actually, I mean, they've got now a guy named Albert Fritz Pop, sorry. He developed a machine highly sensitive to individual light particles that the body gives off called photons. And he did a lot of research into things like carcinogens. And what he found was that in the energy field of the body, actually, particularly the DNA, is absorbing and releasing these biophotons. And what he found is before every physiological process that happens in the body, there's a release and an absorption of biophotons, as if these things, and they start talking then about the whole quantum computer, the biological quantum computer of our bodies. And so, for instance, if you smoke a cigarette, what it does is it starts to scramble the release of the biophotons backwards and into the DNA. And that then confuses the body in terms of what it needs to do and its processes. And so you end up getting sick from carcinogens. And it's literally because of a lack of light in the body.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah, so there's a little bit that I write in here. Just to touch on it, you can actually go look up the guy if you want to go online. There's some good material there on that.
This is what the ancient teachings
Oh,
are
yeah.
about. And
Yeah,
now
we're light. We're made up of light. We're made up of energy. But now the science and those things are starting to come together more and more. Anyway, okay.
Fritz Pop, what did he say?
It's Fritz Pop, but let me just
And
find
if it's in there, then you don't have to find it.
the human energy system. We will read to it soon.
There we go.
Where did I put it? That's like a point.
Don't worry, Lance.
Yeah.
If it's in there, then I can just...
Yeah, it is in here. We'll come across it. We'll get to it shortly. Okay, so let's just go into... Okay, what is this workshop about? Let's just go down to that here. I'm not going to read every single thing in here because then you can read some stuff at home. But okay, so this course, Energy Awakening, is a workshop based around this awakening of consciousness that life is more than physical existence. Okay, we're awakening to the fact that our physical universe is made up of a field or web of energy that not only connects our spirit, mind, and body to our inner world, but that connects us to each other, to nature, the universe, and the mysteries of life. This network of energy is intelligent, self-sustaining, and creative in nature. It holds the key to us discovering our wholeness and creative growth. In it, waiting to be discovered, is the understanding of the laws that govern physical and spiritual abundance, and not only holds the historical records of life accumulated experiences, but also life's possibilities. So how do we practically begin to tune into this field and experience it? How do we develop an experiential understanding of how it all works and flows? How can we engage and yield to these currents of creative potential? How can we access its flow so we can flower as individuals and as collectives? Energy Awakening Fundamentals is the first step to answering some of these basic questions. So what we know now is there's a quantum field, okay? And that quantum field is basically the necessary condition for the cosmos, the manifest creation that comes into being. So everything physical that is temporary, that's only here for a duration, even time, space, and matter comes out of this field that they know, where they call it the quantum field. I believe it to be very, very intelligent as well. We know that because there's laws that govern the universe, physical laws and moral laws that govern the universe. And out of that is everywhere, it exists everywhere. And we all are connected to that field. So it's in connecting to that field that I like to see the quantum field almost as the Wi-Fi of the universe. It's a nice way of putting it. Just like your cell phones. And not all communication is verbal. So you can walk through the forest and come out feeling amazing. bad environment can very often play a role. All of those things can break down the communication, and then we have to do things to try and correct that, so that we can then go back into a place where it's a happy company, where all the cells are working together, all the organs are working together. Yeah, we'll go into the organs a bit later before I get that. But yeah, okay, anyway, so again, who is EnerQi for? Okay, basically anybody can do QiGong. It's not specific for certain people. There are certain practices within different systems that, for instance, you know, things like hard iron shirt QiGong, as an example, is not ideal for women. Because or at least the harder exercises in it. There are two parts to it, but anyway, let's not go too deep in that. But like iron shirt QiGong, because a woman, so for instance, if you're doing exercises that are designed to produce a lot of testosterone, but you're a woman, and you want to stay a woman, you kind of don't want to be blending to exercises that are very masculine in nature, if that makes sense, and vice versa. You know, a guy's doing a lot of exercises that will produce a lot more estrogen in their exercises. They're going to tend to lean towards more effeminate sort of behaviors and thinking patterns and whatnot. So there are those kind of things, but outside of that, in the greater scheme of things, the guys are quite privy to those different effects, and so anybody can practice. I mean, what we're doing here is all pretty safe stuff, so that's all cool. Where and when? Okay, so you can practice QiGong just about anywhere. Ideally, you want to eventually, your entire day can. I mean, okay, so I'll just give you an example. Yesterday, I was in the shops. I was going up an escalator. While I was going up the escalator, I was allowing myself to have a cosmic wash of Qi. So as I'm going up, I'm like, letting the Qi wash over me down this way. And then every time I go down the escalator, I feel like water's rising up into my body and I'm filling up with Qi. Just to give you an example, like I said, you wake up in the morning, you can sit there doing the smile in your bed. You can, when I shower, that's an opportunity for me to do QiGong as well. I don't just shower. I'm not just washing myself physically. There are different visualization and exercises that you can incorporate into everyday activities, just to help you get tuned in the whole time and top up. You know, I like to think of Qi also as like a lamp, or your body's the lamp and Qi is the oil. You know, so you've got to constantly be topping up with oil all the time as well. You know, yes.
Can you do QiGong on another person, like on a child?
Oh, most
on
definitely.
A baby, and like on a
yes, most definitely.
disabled person. You
Yes.
can do that on somebody.
Yeah. So people will actually, there's a whole branch of it. Obviously, we're not going to go in the beginner's course on that, but later on, laying on of hands and what you do is, for instance, the microcosmic orbit, which is a channel that runs up the spine and down the front of the body. So, or let's use a simple one. Take a headache. Somebody who has a headache, they don't know how to deal with the headache. So, if you can get the Qi to flow from the head into the lower abdomen, you can actually take your hands and push your hands down, and you can direct the Qi from the head out of the head. And after doing that for a minute or two, you'll actually feel the headache will disappear. So unless it's an extreme migraine and it's probably because you're hungover from the night before, then the headache will come back. You need to hydrate. Some things there are limitations to what you can do. But yeah, so yes, you can. So you can do the QiGong on other people, but first prize is getting people to take responsibility for their own energy system. That is first prize. But not everybody has the time or the ability or even the desire to do that. Then you would actually move more into the healing realm if that's your, what you enjoy doing. Yes.
So hands off or hands on healing would be actually QiGong then?
Hands off and hands up. Well, anything involving energy is QiGong, really.
Oh, okay. I really didn't
Yeah.
know that.
So, but people have different names for the systems. But anything, because Qi is energy and Gong means work. That's really what it's.
Oh, gosh.
That's the basics of it. So it's energy work.
Okay.
Or
Is it
energy
Reiki?
discipline. Huh?
Like Reiki?
Reiki is a very simplified format of QiGong, yes. It would fit under that bracket as well. It's like electronic music. There's a lot of different genres that fit under it. Same with that.
Sure.
Okay. So, what is Qi and why cultivated? Okay, who else can read? Who's next? Would you like to read this? No? Okay. Can I ask you to read this section?
Where are we? Where do you want me to read?
What is Qi and why cultivated? We're on page 4.
The concept of Qi energy has been an integral component of Eastern philosophy, art, and medicine for thousands of years. However, there is no single accepted definition of Qi. Some people think that Qi is an electric energy, while others believe it is a magnetic energy and heat energy. Scientists have long been interested in measuring Qi, but it cannot be measured by any medical science or explained via physics. However, there's a lot of science behind QiGong, more so than any other form of energy medicine. Why do they say you can't measure it?
So we can measure up to the levels of electromagnetic energy.
Yeah.
But when you start getting more subtle than that, we just don't have instruments that are finer than that. I mean, there has been some science. I actually was reading a study just the other day where just shapes. So different, like with sacred geometry, with shapes. There was a scientist, I've actually got the video somewhere, where they were doing tests on how shapes, like even like a pyramid shape as well as an example, it gives off energy, fields of energy, which they started to be able to measure, but they were doing experiments with how these different shapes, if you grew plants on that, seeds from the same plant but on different shapes, how they would grow differently, and they're doing a whole bunch of different things. But there are subtle and subtler forms of energy that we just don't have the science yet to meet that. So we have a limit to that. And Qi covers all spectrums of energy, really. And so that's why it's sometimes very hard to pinpoint the exact meaning of it, because once you go beyond the electromagnetic field and everything that we can pick up with instrumentalities, it's very hard to define and to latch on, because that's still all those avenues need, they need names and labels and whatnot for us to be able to describe them and their effects and how they actually relate to existence and, But yeah, so that's that. Okay, keep going.
The wise one helps others without expecting anything in return. The wise one does not take credit for doing good for other people. When a person does not think of one's accomplishments, one remains fresh in life.
Okay, so that's just a quote there. Okay, carry on there.
Lance
Go to Qi is central to Taoism. He'll come up later.
Is central to Taoist philosophy. It is the natural force which fills the universe, the energy behind the continuous movement of molecules and atoms. In Japan, it is called Ki, in India, Prana or Shakti. The ancient Egyptians referred to it as Ka, and the ancient Greeks as Pneuma. In Hebrew, it's referred to as Ruach. In Hawaii, it is known as Ha, or Mana. The Chinese believe in three powers of the universe: heaven, Tian, earth, Di, and human, Ren. Heaven, Qi, is the most important, consisting of forces such as sunshine, moonlight, gravity, and energy from the stars and the planets. Earth Qi is controlled by the heaven Qi, and according to the Chinese theory, it is made up of lines and patterns of energy, the Earth's magnetic field and underground heat. Each individual person has their own Qi field, which always seeks balance. All natural things, including humans, plants, and animals, grow within and are influenced by the natural cycles of heaven Qi and earth Qi.
Okay.
Done.
Yeah, okay, let me take over there. Okay, so now we're just going to start giving you some categories of the different classes of Qi. So firstly, they're talking about heaven Qi and earth Qi, right? So let me just give you the basic cosmology idea behind, or at least how the Taoists understand how life is here. So we start off with what they call Wu Qi. Wu Qi is basically the great mystery. It's what existed before time, space, and matter. We had the Wu Qi, which in science we would probably call that the quantum field. Okay, they call it the great nothingness, but the only reason why they say it's nothing, it doesn't mean nothing in the true sense of the word nothing. It means the unmanifest, or the primordial, that which existed before, or that which is the necessary condition for everything to exist. So from Wu Qi, now you have this nothingness, or this in there was all potential. It was the sum of all knowledge, or time, space, matter. It all existed in there, but like in a seed form, in an unmanifest form. Okay, so then out of Wu Qi, okay, you suddenly had this exhale, or the, we call it the Big Bang in science. Suddenly there was just some movement, and now all of a sudden, because you've had this explosion of movement, okay, or what they call the divine exhale, you've got now the polarities between, or in which they called yin and yang. So now you've got movement and stillness, nothingness and everythingness. You've got these two polarities, which then echoes into all of creation. You've got the masculine and the feminine, you've got the shady side of the mountain and the sunny side of the mountain. This is all yin and yang. Now what happens is those two polarities, yin and yang, start coming and they start relating to each other. And that forms what they call the three pure ones, or the three pure forces, which is then heaven, earth, or yang and yin. And then you've got your universal chi. So you've got heavenly chi, earth chi, or yang chi, earth chi, and then you've got your universal chi, like your cosmic particles and whatnot. So heaven chi is made up of obviously things like the fields of all the planets and the solar systems collectively come together and they have a field. Earth is very yin in nature, so it's got its own magnetic field. That's why they say heaven controls Earth in terms of its orbits, all that kind of stuff. And that's all these fields going on. Okay, so you've got Wu Qi. Out of Wu Qi, you suddenly develop the concept of yin and yang. Yin and yang start relating to each other and they form what they call the three pure ones. The heavenly forces, you've got the yin or earth forces, and then they come together and they form what they call, this is also, they use relationships, so masculine, feminine, and you have the firstborn or the first child. So we're considered, or man is considered the union or the offspring of heaven and earth. We're made up of cosmic dust and earth dust, if you really go into the molecules of it. So then they go on and then they start breaking it down even further. So according to Chinese medicine, within the human body there are two major types of qi. Okay, congenial qi, which is basically made up of prenatal or ancestral qi. Okay, this goes down to things like genetic, what we inherit genetically. I mean, like my dog Benji, we got him at such a young age. He never was taught to bury a bone. How he got that, and he's always been around humans. And the one day we gave him a bone, and next one, whoop, he's in the garden, digging, and then covering it with his nose. Like, where did he get that from? That's information that's been passed on, and that's what they're kind of talking about. So this prenatal ancestral qi. How does a baby know to suckle? It has that already wired into it, That kind of goes into that, which is the qi which we're born with. Acquired qi, postnatal qi, which is the qi that we generate within our lifetime from the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, QiGong practice, and being in harmony with the universe. The qi that flows at the surface of the body as a protective sheath is what we call wei qi, or protective qi. So that's the qi that comes outside. That's actually, your kidneys play a strong role in producing wei qi. And that wei qi, if it's strong, actually, so when you go into things like bacteria in the environment that are airborne pathogens and stuff, if your energy field is quite strong, they actually get deflected off of the energy field. They bounce off of it. So if your energy field becomes very weak, that protective wei qi allows those pathogens and potential viruses and whatever to actually penetrate through the energy system and then attach to the body and then get in and actually infect you. So if you've got very strong wei qi, you will get sick a lot less as well. So QiGong really does amplify that as well. Bit of interesting. So each internal organ also has its own qi according to the Taoist cosmology. The two fundamental forms of qi are yin qi and yang qi, which I've mentioned briefly, the primordial feminine and masculine energies, as well as heaven qi and earth qi. Many qigong practices utilizes the qi that emanates from trees, flowers, lakes, and mountains. If our eating and breathing patterns are healthy and our qigong practice strong, we can generate a surplus of acquired qi, which can then be used to supplement our congenital qi. Okay, this can aid in many inherited conditions. We depend on nature for our development and growth. Everything in the world comes from the interaction of heaven and earth qi.
May I ask you something
Yes.
related to this? So, if, for example, you have got a certain amount of qi in
Yes.
the body, okay, and you're doing all the right things,
Yes.
the right practices, the right breathing, the right food, the right meditations, blah. what happens to that chi the next day when you wake up? Is it still there?
Yes.
What I
Okay,
want to ask,
good
is there
question.
surplus that accumulates all the time the more you do? Because I perceive you as someone who's like vibrant and
Yeah.
and just energy is just coming off you.
Cool.
Now, what happens to that energy tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay. So every day. So this is why I think sleeping and sleeping practices become very important as well in terms of the regeneration. So you're actually one step ahead. We're going to be talking about the 5 phases. I'll give you a brief intro though now, and we'll come back to that. So in working with energy, we've got 5 basic strategies. Firstly, you've got to learn to conserve your chi. In other words, don't misspend it. Like on the ex-boyfriend that you broke up 8 years ago, but you're still getting drunk and like having a pity party about. That drains your chi. That's misspending it. Then, so you want to learn to conserve your chi, and you want to learn to transform certain chi, because energy is energy. So energy can be in a negative state, so like an emotion like depression, or can be a belief system even. Okay, if you know how to transform chi from one state to another, so let's take your liver as an example. You know, they're saying, I'm livid, because that anger and resentment and bitterness affects how the liver and the gallbladder function. So if you can do certain exercises to take that energy and recycle it, it's like recomposting. Okay, if you can recycle the energy rather than wasting it, okay, on negative outbursts and saying, you know, really horrible things to somebody, whatever. If you can transform that into more positive chi that your body can actually digest and deal with. So things like forgiveness is very powerful in transforming chi. Kindness and generosity, if that organ is balanced, will actually offset the anger. So you balance the yin and the yang, chi inside that organ. And so instead of being a miserable, resentful, envious person, if you balance that organ, it'll actually manifest as kindness, generosity, forgiveness, as an example. So then you start to see the relation between the physical and the psychological. Okay. Now, so that's transforming chi. Then after transforming chi, we will go into how to balance chi. So balancing chi is about having all the right amount of energy in all the right places. You can have transformed chi, great, but you can direct too much chi into one part of your psyche. So like it often happens sometimes with imbalanced Kundalini practices, where people will drive powerful energies up into the brain, and the brain's hasn't been prepared for it. The neural systems are just very, very still sensitive and almost baby-like, and you drive all this chi up into there, and then you end up having a 3-week episode of psychosis. They used to have that also in the monasteries. They used to call it a Zen sickness. The guys just pushing too hard, driving energies in the wrong places. Another example is overthinking. Just hold on. I need to overthink this for a second.
Oh, yeah.
So overthinking generally causes the brain to overheat. And it's not that you don't have, you've got enough energy for everywhere, but you're putting it all into stress and worry and overthinking, and then you end up suffering with migraines or headaches, as an example. Or you can't sleep at night, so then that has an overflow into not being able to sleep, so you wake up tired the next day, and you have this vicious, negative, destructive cycle that's patterning. So balancing chi is about, okay, cool, taking the excess energy out of the head and moving it to somewhere where you need the energy better. Okay, so like for instance, when you can relax the brain, your body can then take energy and then put it back into the immune system. But if you're always stressing and overthinking, your immune system takes it off, because it's got to take the energy from somewhere else. So balancing energy is about distributing the energy to all the right places so that everything works and everything has just enough for what it needs. Then we can start working on acquiring chi or building it up. So that building up chi levels and increasing your chi potential is like upgrading your system from a 9-volt battery to a 12-volt battery, to a 25-volt battery. So you're increasing your chi potential. And then the last phase is in terms of projecting or directing your chi. So then you could use that, for instance, in energy healing, or you might have a business concept that you want to manifest, and you have all the surplus energy to make that thing actually come into being. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, yes.
When you say balancing energy and balancing anything in life, the light and the dark, the yin and the yang, the good and the bad, if you say you balance your energy, does that imply you've got 20 units of good and 20 units of the dark, but it's in balance? You know, we almost speak of getting rid of this bad energy almost, and your belly's just filled with good, but is that balance? Or
Yeah. So it's very interesting. So yin and yang was never ever, the whole concept was never designed to associate it with moral qualities. So yin and yang was never right and wrong. Religion kind of took it in that direction, and they kind of lost the whole picture of that. Don't get me wrong, there are moral forces, and morality is a very, very real thing, but in terms of the concept of yin and yang, so like each organ, like I was saying to you, you've got positive and negative psychology. You know, so like the kidneys deal with fear, shock, and trauma, but it's affected by fear, shock, and trauma, but it's, you know, things like peace and gentleness, peacefulness, and when I say peace, not just being at peace, also being a peacemaker, okay? When you balance the yin and yang, okay, then neither of those then become evil or overtly good. It becomes balanced. So what that does is when your chi is balanced, it frees up your will to be able to be exercised without let me say this better way. When you balance your chi, it frees up your will to be able to exercise it with integrity. So if you think of a drug addict, he's all over the place. Physical system is like he's got all these clamoring desires and impulses and attachments to certain whatever he's addicted to, whether it be sugar or heroin or, you know, whether it's porn or whatever, right? Those imbalances in his system then makes it very hard for him to act with integrity and intelligently. So there's always the yin and the yang in everything, but they only become negatively moral when we go out of balance, okay? And then so we actually give away our power to, you know, now I'm angry and the next minute I'll find myself, I'm stabbing my partner, you know, to death. Sorry about the extremency of that. But, and it was in a fit of rage, and then afterwards you're like, what did I just do? You know what I mean? That was not a choice that, you know, was rooted from a balanced place. So the point of balancing, nothing is good and evil until it takes you out into a place of ego or selfishness, and then we start attributing moral values to that, you know. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, not so specific evil and good and that, but
Yeah.
you know, good experiences and bad experiences.
Yeah.
And I think society, we taught to always avoid bad experience. We mustn't.
Yeah.
Which means, you know, you're not experiencing a whole lot of what is actually wealth and lessons.
Yeah.
You know, the good, if it's always good, you become lazy, you become complacent. So
Okay.
to me, balance is not to chase out and not ever dwell on not bad thoughts, but you know, the dark times, but to recognize them and I think almost then maybe neutralize them. That, as you say, they don't take over your life.
Yeah.
But we, in society, we're trying to avoid a lot of what we see as, you know, bad experiences.
Well, yeah, we don't want to be like amoebas where we're only running away from the threat and then running towards what's positive food, because I think we've moved on from being amoebas. But here's another, let's add this to the conversation there, is that in order to be who you are, okay, really fully manifest yourself, you just remember, and really a lot of our spiritual nature is based on the fact that we are free moral agents. It is impossible to exercise who you are in a vacuum. Otherwise you would just be a vegetable. Okay. So without these forces, like, I mean, love is easy. It's easy to love when there's no temptation. But what happens when temptation comes into the book? Now you are in an environment, it's perceived as a negative temptation to maybe, you know, whatever, cheat or do something, whatever. But love is exercised under great temptation, actually. So remember that. So if you want to really actualize yourself, you can't be anything in a complete vacuum. If there's no input, there's no information coming in through the five senses or anything, you might have the faculties of intellect, or executive faculties like free will and even sensibilities, but if you're in a vacuum, you're as good as dead, you know. So those opposites, again, the yin and yang, are necessary in order for us to have sort of structure to being who we are and to grow in anything. I don't know, I hope that helps.
No, that's for sure.
Good. Okay, cool. Anything else? Okay, cool. So let's just finish this paragraph, and then I think let's get into a little bit of an exercise of sorts. Okay, so we depend on our nature. We depend on nature for our development and growth. Everything in the world comes from the interaction of heaven and earth chi. We breathe to absorb heaven chi and eat to absorb earth chi. The essence of food we consume is transported to the spleen, to the lungs, to combine with fresh air to produce zong chi, supported by original chi stored in the kidneys. Zong chi is then transformed into true chi, which is its yin aspect, becoming yin chi, which flows throughout the meridians, and in its yang aspect becomes wei chi, which is on the outside. So you got chi within the body, chi outside of the body. Okay, yin and yang. Again, there's always comparing the opposites.
So Lance, this Zong
yeah.
Chi, did you guys talk about it earlier on? Am I not?
No, we're just coming in now. We were just kind of introducing you to some of the concepts of the different, how we categorize the chi.
Okay. So is the Zong Chi outside of yourself? Is that what you said?
No, so Zong Chi is kind of what's coming out of your food and out of your water, and then from that, once that gets transformed, then it becomes true chi. So like I was saying, you've got the whole concept of Jing, Chi and Shen. So once you've broken all the food down to its basic elements, okay, and then it starts becoming Jing. And then you've got the body then just using those elements then to produce hormones. But then at the end of the day, what does your body do with those hormones? Those hormones then go to an even deeper refinement, and that's when it moves from Jing and it starts becoming, it starts becoming Chi, or bioelectricity, bioelectromagnetic energy. That's what they mean by the true Chi. So now you've actually got bioelectricity and magnetic energy of the body that's now producing an energy field. If that makes sense? Yeah. And so that's what they're referring there to, when it starts to become true Chi. And then from that, then we can start doing refining that even further, and then it will become Shen, okay, which is very refined. And you'll experience that in terms of like wisdom, enlightenment, or enlightened understanding, in terms of revelation, and certain other states of consciousness, things like experiencing
Clarity.
Unconditional love, clarity. So because spirit's not always an entity. Spirit can be the spirit of your mind, or at school we have the spirit, yeah man, yeah, Its motivation is also part of Shen. Okay, so in Taoism, Qi has 4 major actions, okay? Ascending, descending, entering and exiting. When Qi is flowing smoothly and there's a balance between its ascending and descending and entering and exiting functions, then we're healthy. And alchemy reveals the human body to be the meeting place of heaven and earth. During QiGong practice, we draw heaven Qi down from above and Qi earth up from below. Even when we're doing QiGong practice, even when we're not doing QiGong practice, we are absorbing heaven Qi with every breath we take, and earth Qi through the food we eat, as an example. Okay, you don't have to just eat food to absorb Qi from the earth, but that's just using an example. Okay, let's take a little break from the intellectual stuff. So, and get into a little exercise. Okay, so we've got the basic breakdown here. You've got earth Qi, heaven Qi, earth Qi, and then you've got universal Qi. So in the body now, we've got 3 dantians. We've got our lower dantian, which is an energy center here. We've got the middle dantian, okay, and we've got the upper dantian. The word dantian means elixir field, okay? It's where the inner alchemy takes place. They're also referred to as the 3 minds. Okay, so we don't only have a brain in our head. We have a gut brain. There's actually a scientific book on it, where they've found memory cells and neural pathways, everything in the belly. It just has a different function to the upper brain.
It's more intelligent.
Yeah, and the heart plexus is also extremely intelligent. So each one has functions. So if you want to just give a very basic one to it, the lower dun deals with power or life force. So the thing that causes a seed to break out of a seed and to grow, that would be considered the power or life force, okay? or associated with our lower dantian. It's also where our center of gravity lies, is in the lower dantian, which is quite interesting, that force. So think of the lower dantian as power or life force. Think of the middle dantian, okay, in terms of love and compassion. Okay, it's accumulation of all the virtues of benevolence comes into the middle dantian. So, you know, I love you with all my heart. We have that in our language already anyway. So the middle dantian deals with compassion and love, and your upper dantian deals with wisdom. And wisdom is made up of revelation, understanding, and knowledge, and you know, all those things. So we've got, and then again, so then your upper dantian is the closest to heaven, so that deals primarily with the heavenly forces. Your lower dantian, and like your center of gravity, I mean, gravity literally is the umbilical cord. Your center of gravity is and the center of gravity of the earth. That force that connects you to that gravity force is basically your umbilical cord, to energetic umbilical cord to the earth. Okay, and then you've got the middle dantian, which then connects you to, if we think of universal chi, I normally go in my mind, think in terms of the force of nature. So like a forest or a jungle, or just the force of nature, because nature's everywhere. So, and that you would be as universal. So things like certain, you know, cosmic particles that come down out of heaven, and then they settle into Earth, those also, it plays a role in that. But okay, so what we want to do, okay, so now if we take those three minds, if we take power, love, and wisdom, and you combine them together, we get what we call Yi mind. Yi mind means whole mind. Okay. So, and one more example. So you get some people that are very gutsy, business guys. You know, they're very gutsy in terms of, you know, they don't mind taking a lot of risk. That's that kind of brain working. You get some people that are very empathy-based, you know, and they love with all their heart, but they don't necessarily consult their better judgment, or they're not very strong risk takers, you know. And so you'll find that in terms of like codependent relationships, because they're not thinking with their whole mind. They'll love, but without boundaries. Some people are very wise, but they're not connected to their middle and lower dantian, and so they'll be, you know, very often a lot of crime will come into that. You know, criminals are very smart, but they just don't have overall wisdom in that. So the trick is really to, when all three centers have a good flow of chi through the energy center line, which we call the thrusting channel, then you begin to think with Yi mind, whole mind thinking. You not only have power, you've also got love and compassion, and you've got wisdom that come together to give you the Yi mind. So this exercise, which I generally open my forms with and close forms with, is about getting those three centers and getting the flow of chi between them. Okay, so if you'd like to, you can stay seated for this one as well. We're going to sit. Okay, and we're going to open up with this. So generally you want to be sitting alert but relaxed. If you put your hands on your knees, just as a starting point. This is also, when you put this on your legs, it's a form of rooting and grounding. Okay, so you want to kind of think of yourself, and grounding psychologically means to be rooted and grounded in love. Somebody who comes from a loving family is much more rooted and grounded than somebody who was brought up in an orphanage. So energetic grounding with the earth, you'll actually start becoming more balanced, more grounded in terms of your rationale, in terms of how you respond to things. Okay, so that's how you know you're grounded. It's like when you're panicking, your center of gravity actually lifts up in the body, and then you just, all common sense goes out of the window. You know? And so you're losing connection with being rooted. So, feet to the ground, you want your whole foot to connect with the earth, hands on the knees, okay? And again, just remember the symbolism is just as important as the actual energy dynamics of it. It's also, because we ascribe meaning to energy relationships. So when you're sitting like that, you know, your seat's there, you feel that you're rooted and grounded. If you just tune into gravity and actually feel how the earth is pulling you into the chair and into the ground. Now, if you want, you can really just add another visualization to that and think of a loving mother when she holds her child to herself. Okay, that embrace, imagine gravity is like that. Mother Earth is holding you to herself. So you're rooted and grounded, but you're loved and nourished at the same time. Okay, so you're sitting there, gentle smile on your face. Your crown, it's like a little candle flame, always wanting to go up towards heaven. It's being attracted towards heaven so that the spine opens Okay, but you relax still. And your tailbone, you drop down slightly into the ground, feeling it. It's like a little magnet being stuck to another magnet. So this is the most optimal position for chi to flow through the body. You know, if you're slouching or you're bent and whatever, it makes it difficult for the chi to flow. So you want to optimize the flow of chi. So we're sitting there smiling. When you smile, just give an instruction to your whole body and to your energy system to relax and to become open. Become aware of your breath. And as you breathe in, become aware of the space around you. And just, we know that there's energy all around us. So as you breathe in, it's as if you're breathing in chi. And when you breathe out, you're also releasing chi. Breathing in chi, breathing out chi. Breathing in chi, breathing out chi. Okay. Now what we're going to do is here, we're going to connect with the three dantians and the three forces. So on the in-breath, when we breathe in, we're going to bring our hands into a prayer position. We're going to bring it up to the mid-eyebrow point. And as we do that, we're going to become aware of heaven and our relationship with heaven. And we're going to take a deep breath in, smiling into the head and the upper dantian. When we breathe out, we're going to drop the hand down to the heart, because with the heart we connect to everything. And yeah, we're going to open the heart through the act of trust and confidence, to trust and confide. And then we're going to bring the hands back up to the mid-eyebrow point, and we're going to connect with the universal chi, or the chi of nature. So we take a deep breath into the upper dantian. So we're doing this to connect mind and heart as well at the same time. As we breathe out, we're going to drop the hands back down to the chest, and we're going to sink all our attention and affections into the heart and feel the heart opening up. When we're in a trusting state, we open up. When you're in a mistrusting state, everything knots up and you start cutting off things because you don't trust anything. So we want to trust and open up our heart through trust and love. And then the third force, which is the earth, we're going to come up and just acknowledge or take notice of the energies of the earth. And we're going to breathe down and then again connect with the heart, just opening it to the three forces. I'm going to take a few breaths here, 3 breaths as we're breathing in. So the Tao is often referred to as the way, the truth, and the life. So when we follow the way of truth, it produces life. That's basically what it means. So as you're breathing in here, we just connect. When we are committed to having a healthy relationship with truth, then it will produce life. So we just connect with that concept. And then we take a deep breath in. And as we breathe between the hands, we're going to just visualize when the earth, when the Wu Chi exhaled and suddenly things came into existence. As we breathe between the palms, we had this Chi coming into being. And then when you breathe in, you're going to breathe in Chi, connecting with heaven. One hand comes down to the belly, one hand comes up. We connect with heaven and earth, which is the upper and lower dantian, which connect to heaven and earth. We take a deep breath in, and you become aware of heaven and earth, the flow between heaven and earth. And as we breathe out, we allow the chi to flow through the body like a waterfall. And we drop our awareness from the head and the heart down into the belly. And now we just begin to breathe into the belly, allow all the chi, like a river that flows from a mountain and into the ocean. We allow all the chi to flow down into the navel. This is called the ocean of chi, the lower dantian sometimes. And you smile in, and you breathe and smile into the lower dantian for a period. Okay, let's do that again. Hands out to the knees. Just feeling rooted and grounded, become aware of gravity holding you to the earth, and feel the crown of your head being drawn up towards heaven like a candle flame. When we're ready, we're going to connect mind and heart. So as we breathe in, smiling and breathing into the upper dantian, connecting with heaven. As you breathe out, come down to the heart, allow the heart to open up like a flower. As you smile, soften the heart with love and trust and confidence. As you're breathing in, come back up. We connect with the energy of nature. And as we drop down to the heart, opening up the heart again. Becoming soft, just cultivating love, trust. Then we come up again, connecting with the last force, the yin force. This is of the earth. And as we breathe out, now take a few breaths into the middle dantian, bringing all your chi down into the middle dantian. As you're breathing in, we just sink into that sacred space in the heart, just aware of the way of truth and life. Way, truth, life. And we take a deep breath in, breathing between the palms. Then we breathe in, chi, connecting with heaven and earth. And be aware of the flow of heaven chi flowing down through the body and into the earth and into the lower dantian. Holding that space, we breathe into the lower dantian. As you breathe out, all your thoughts, all the feelings in your chest sinking down into the belly. As you breathe in, feel that you're gently sucking or drawing the chi out of the head and out of the heart and into the belly. Feel that your smile is even dropping out of your head and into your belly. You're smiling from your belly. And as you're breathing in, chi is being drawn down. And as you breathe out, just condensing it into the navel. Just becoming more rooted and grounded, aware of your center of gravity, which is behind the navel, inside the belly. Okay, we do this one more time with a bit more flow, hands out to the knees. Be rooted and grounded in love, connected, embraced. Okay, connecting mind and heart, we breathe in. 3 times connecting with the 3 forces, opening the heart, connecting with heaven. Again, next breath, connecting with the forces of nature from the heart, connecting with the forces of the earth and all the rocks and the minerals from within the earth, and connecting it with the heart. Breathing in, we just set the intention to walk in the way of truth that produces life. As best we understand it. Big smile. Smile out to the universe, feel the universe smiling back to you. Take a deep breath in, breathing between the palms, the breath that sustains all things. As we breathe in, we breathe that in, connecting with heaven and earth. And as the bridge between the two, we allow chi to flow from heaven down through the body like a waterfall and into the belly. Breathing and smiling into the belly, we sink all our chi down into that sacred space. Feel the belly smiling back to you. Your smile is like the sun that shines on the earth, nourishing the earth. Let your smile shine down on the belly, nourishing the belly and the lower dantian. And just as the earth smiles back to the sun, feel the belly and lower dantian smiling back to you. As you become sufficiently still and more relaxed, bring the hands out to the knees. And take a deep breath in. Stay connected, but open your eyes and come back to the space. Okay. So this, when you do it repeatedly, you can do this as a complete exercise in and of itself. And if you've got literally 1 minute, you can go through that. And just the more you practice it, the more you can go into a deeper and deeper, more connected, more relaxed state of being. Okay, so I want to cover, let's do a couple of exercises to feel chi. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of exercises that I've got in here, but we're not going to have time to do all of them. But it would be nice if we turn to page 9 is the beginning of that. Meeting your chi. Okay. We will come back to some content later, but obviously the brain can only handle so much information in one shot. And secondly, you can also go back and just reread what we touched on lightly, and then we can come back with the, next week, and then with more questions if necessary. Okay, so here's the first exercise. Okay, this is quite a fun little exercise. Okay, grab your hands together.
Which page is that?
Page 9.
No.
Okay. I'm going to just choose some of my favorite ones. Okay, the first one here.
Oh, sorry.
So everybody has a line at the base of their hand. Okay. I want you to now be very, very specific when you do this. Has anybody done this exercise before? Finger growing exercise. So make sure that that line is perfectly lined up. Okay. Open your hands so that your fingers are straight. Now, at the same time, roll both hands together until they come together. Now, look at your middle, the longest finger on your hand. Okay. How many of you, one finger is longer than the other, or they're all the same?
My right looks slightly longer than my left.
Okay, so if it's slightly longer, but it's pretty close, right? So I want you to take the shortest finger then. Okay. Or choose a finger, if it's the same length, take it. Okay, so now, shake out the hand a little bit. Just basically. Now take one hand, not the other hand. Take the hand that had the shortest finger, or just one finger. I'm going to work with my right finger. Okay, we're going to hold the hand up. Now I want you to use childlike imagination. I want you to put all your energy into this. I want you to imagine that your finger is going to start growing a little bit longer. Close your eyes now. And we're going to grow the finger until you can scrape the roof with it. Okay. So just breathing, looking at your finger. It's like you, one of the Fantastic Four. Who's the guy that could stretch? So putting all your awareness into the middle finger. Now imagine you starting and visualize with feeling, as if really like childlike belief. Imagine that your finger is starting to get longer and longer. And it's now passing the side of your head. And it's getting a little bit longer. It's if it's stretching up. You're just stretching longer now than the crown of your head. Now you look up at the roof. You want to touch the roof only with that finger. So keep watching your finger growing up and up and up until you get close to where the lights hangings are starting, that level. And keep going up. You want to feel with the tip of your finger, you want to touch the roof. And when you finally get to the roof, I want you to gently, just don't move your finger, but just in your mind's eye, imagine that you're scratching the roof with the tip of your finger. Scratching it. Now gently begin to push your finger through the roof. Feel the resistance with the roof until your finger passes through the roof, and you keep pushing it up until the roof is at the first joint of your finger. You may feel some pulsing happening in the hand. Okay, now when you're ready, open your eyes. Line up your hands again as carefully as possible. Straighten your hands and roll it out.
No way.
How many people got that right? Did you get it right as well? Okay. Is it the same in length, or is it even longer?
It's weird.
Okay.
Mine was quite a bit
Mine was about that much more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you take the other hand, close your eyes. Now do the same thing. Focus on the finger. Now imagine it beginning to grow. Just like a plant pushing through the ground. Feel your finger growing up and getting longer and longer. Now remember to add feeling to this. You've got to feel like your fingers grow. And longer and longer. And you're searching for the roof. Keep going until you eventually touch the roof. And imagine what the roof feels like. Feel the texture of the paint even. Scrape it with your nail. Okay, now you want to push your finger through the roof. So push, you feel the resistance of it against the fingertip. And then feel the finger breaking through the roof until the roof touches the first joint. And then open your eyes, line it up again. Make sure you do it very carefully so you can't be confused, and then straighten it out. Okay, what's happening there?
All over again.
It's all again. There we go. Did you get it as well? Okay, cool. First exercise. So what we're doing is we're using attention to move the chi and to drive blood into the finger. So the finger actually starts to extend. It's not that the bones are extending, but there's more blood in the finger that causes it to become bigger. So chi is the thickest form of chi that exists. Okay, so first exercise. Okay, now another very simple exercise. People don't realize how simple this is. Really just shake your fingers quite a bit. Okay. And now just feel the tingling. So what we've done is we've stimulated the nervous system. So because the nervous system being stimulated, the bioelectricity is now starting causing the tingling. Okay, that tingling feeling is chi as well. Okay, very simple one. Most people know that. It's so simple people think, okay, well, that's normal. Okay, next one. Now we're going to do another visualization exercise. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes. Okay, I want you to go into your head and I want you to feel your brain. Become aware of how your brain feels. Think about the left-hand side and think about the right-hand side and compare the two. Look for sensations, temperatures, pressure. Okay, now open your eyes quickly just to break away from that. You recorded that feeling. You got it. Okay, now choose a side of the brain. Let's all go with the right side of the brain. Okay, close your eyes again. Now I want you to forget about the left-hand side. Only focus on the right-hand side of the brain. And I want you to imagine in the darkness, see a dot of light appear out of nowhere. It's almost like something just coming into being. And while you're paying all your attention to this dot of light, notice that every time you breathe out, it gets a little bit brighter and a little bit more radiant, and it begins to grow from a pinpoint, and it starts to grow to about the size of a pearl. Now as you're breathing, each time you breathe, not only is it increasing in size, it's getting brighter and more radiant. It's like a little sun starting to develop out of nothing. But it starts to get warmer as well. And as you breathe, and now slowly internally turn up your smile. Take your smile from 10% to like 20 or 30%. And as you do that, see it getting even more brighter and more radiant. Feel that radiating out, but only to the right side of the brain, out into all the brain cells that are in that region. Now we're going to carry on breathing. We want to let it grow to the size of a marble. And again, turn up your smile now from 30% to about 50%. Feel it really. Feel the energy starting to crackle and to buzz and to vibrate from that out into the right side of the brain only. Now we're going to crank it up even higher. We're going to take it to the size of a ping pong ball. And as it goes growing bigger with every breath, turn your smile up to about 80%. Feel it starting to shudder as if it's going to explode with laughter, this little chi ball that you're developing in your head. It's shuddering. It's like, you know, you're not like being naughty at school. You want to laugh, but you're not allowed to laugh, and it's just bubbling and boiling, and it's you containing all that energy in there, and it's crackling and it's radiating out, and it's just nourishing all the brain cells on that side. Okay. Now I just want you to open your eyes. Now I want you to compare the right-hand side of the brain to the left-hand side of the brain. What do we feel? One side of the head, like the head wants to do this. Gunk.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Or dense almost.
More dense, heavy, dense. Okay.
It's dark.
Okay, if you feel nothing, say nothing also, please. Anybody else? Anything else?
Yeah, right side feels like swollen.
Swollen, yeah. Okay, cool. See, all the different describing words for that. Okay. Now you want to balance it. Do it to the other side. Close your eyes.
Yes, please.
So this is also how we can connect left and right brain communication through the neural pathways. You do exercises like this. Okay, so focus on the left hand side. Okay, again, look into the darkness, because right now it's just darkness and emptiness. See a little point of light, a pinprick of light developing. Now as you begin to breathe and smile, let that grow bigger to the size of a pearl. Turn up your smile to from 10% to 30%. Now keep breathing and smiling into it. Allow it to grow to the size of a marble. Increasing the power of your smile, the intensity and the concentration of your smile. See it starting to crackle and buzz and vibrate. And keep cracking it up until it grows, with every breath growing to the size of a ping pong ball. Really radiating, shining out, just like the sun nourishes the earth. Allow that chi ball to radiate out to all the brain cells on that side of the body. Feel the brain cells suntanning and having a good time, enjoying the awareness and the attention, the chi that you're sending in their direction. And then, when you're ready, take a deep breath and open your eyes. Does that feel more balanced? Okay, another little exercise. Okay, let's do one more.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, go for it.
If when we started, my leg was like, it felt like it was like thudding with almost like a pain.
Yes.
Like I've been too heavy or something.
Like a
on this
pre-
side
like a
of the
pressure pain.
brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of energy was that coming in this room with?
Well, I mean, right now that's just smiling energy. What we do there, because so chi comes in kind of. It's like you give it a program. So our intentions give the chi the program. So if you were to give that a very negative thought, you'd be amplifying a very negative feeling. That wouldn't have a great effect on the body. So that's why we use a lot of smiling in what we do there, because you're giving the chi an instruction or giving it a code or an intention to do something. So smiling is great, always great, but you can also send intentions of healing or positive intentions. If you get the energy and you excite it too much, so it becomes too young and it becomes uncomfortable, then the best way to deal with that is to ground it. So then what I would do is I would take that ball, and every time I breathe out, I would drop it down. And I would basically mentally swallow it all the way down into the belly. Once it goes there, this can handle very high amounts of energy, but you've got to be careful when you're working with the upper dantian. Much more sensitive than the lower dantian, but if it ever gets to the place of uncomfortability, you want to drop all your awareness into the lower belly, and what we call emptying the mind and filling the belly. It's like an egg timer is also a nice illustration. When you turn an egg timer and you see the sand running down, and you let it drain out of the head and then into the body. Does it help?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I want to do one more. This involves a partner. So somebody link up with somebody else. Somebody's going to be sitting on the chair. The other person is going to be sitting here. Okay. And I'm going to get you to take your two palms and we're going to cover the eyes so that you can't see any light. Then the person behind you, what we're going to do is we're going to take our hands. Somebody needs to sit, somebody needs to stand. Okay, so start that way. You're going to stand behind the person. Go to behind the person. So let me explain what the exercise is going to do. So what you're going to do is you're going to imagine that you've got an energy bubble between your hands, and you're going to then, so this big bubble, you're going to squeeze into the center of their head as you bring your hands in. You want to move the hands very slowly. I don't want you to create any wind. I don't want people to pick up on the wind or even the heat of the hands. Okay, they want to look for the pressure or any subtle sensations that are happening in the brain. So you're going to come in. And on your out breath, when you breathe out, also don't breathe onto the head because then they know that you're breathing out. Okay? You're going to breathe out very softly and gently, but you're going to bring your hands in slowly, and you're going to imagine that there's chi ball, and you're going to condense the ball, or the balloon, like a balloon, until you get to the sides of the head. And then on your in breath, you're going to just open your hands. And you're going to do that a few times. And then I want you to start to move your hands around the head like this, and just like you're massaging their halo. Okay? And they're going to be unaware of where and what you're doing it, but they're just going to try and feel. So that's your job, is to just see what you feel inside your head and around your head. But I want you to take your hands and I want you to cover your eyes. And then completely relax. Don't let any light come through your eyes. Okay. Just go into very relaxed, breathing evenly. The people that are sitting, breathing evenly and relaxed, but deep breaths, but comfortable. And then you guys can start to play around their heads. Remember to relax. The more relaxed, the easier it is to feel things. Okay. Just 20 more seconds. Ten. Okay. Then release, let go. Okay. Who felt absolutely nothing? Nothing. Okay, cool. Thanks for the honesty. Who felt something? Okay, what did you feel?
I felt some kind of pressure going into the ears,
Okay. Only from the sides?
mostly from the sides. There was a brief moment of something at the top.
How accurate was that? She did most, so while everybody else was doing this, she was just doing this. That's why I wanted you to just once go over like that. Okay. You?
So what I felt was I felt quite a bit of pressure. It's probably from the sides, but on the top part,
Mm-hmm.
over here, almost like
Uh-huh.
it's being squished.
Okay.
And then I felt something over here.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel movement, but that
Was that towards the end or towards the beginning?
Towards the end, I felt
Towards
movement over here.
Okay.
And then in the beginning, but it felt like quite fast at a stage as well.
Yeah, so her hands were moving faster than hers as well. She was moving very slowly. Very slowly. And she was like, oh, you got quite faster, and then she was actually also going around, but it's perfect. Okay. And then, okay, so don't feel bad that you don't feel anything either. That's okay. That's not unnormal. Okay, guys, let's get into the spine. Okay. So I'm going to leave for homework because we were running out of time for you to read up. We'll read up until this point where we can go into, you can read up a little bit about the basic structure of the spine. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. You can find that in any biology book. So the spine is exceptionally important. It was one of the major highways in the body. We call that the governing channel in QiGong is the spine. Okay, and then the energy meridian that's associated with that. So we've got three major meridians. We've got the thrusting channel that runs through the center of the body, and it's connected to the vagus nerve from crown to the pelvic floor. So you've got the vagus nerve that connects all the three dantians. Then you've got the spine, which is what we call the governing channel, and then running down the front of the body through the tip of the tongue, about that deep in the body, underneath and within the sternum, and then it goes into the solar plex, down to the pubic bone, and then it curls under, and then it joins up at the tailbone. That's called the functional channel. Those three channels are like the three major highways in QiGong. From there, you've got your 12 energy meridian system, which are related to the different organs, yin and yang organs. So you get heart and small intestines, you get lungs and large intestines, you get the spleen and stomach, and you get the liver and gallbladder. But so you've got 12 energy meridians, and then you've got these circular belt channels that run circular through the body, which are called the 8 extraordinary meridians. There are other meridians smaller than that, but that's your major network. Okay, and it kind of works like the Amazon forest, you know. You've got the main Amazonian river, and then from there you've got rivers that flow out of that, and then you've got little streams that flow out of that, and that waters the whole system so that you've got a forest. And so your energy system works like that. The meridian system works in terms of if you've got good chi flowing through all the meridians, everything grows like a forest, very healthy and lush. If there's a breakdown in the flow of chi in any of those meridians, then you'll get areas that will start to dry up, and the chis will die, and then it ends up becoming a desert eventually, like the Sahara. Point is to try and avoid that as much as possible. Okay, so.
Hang on, stop.
Yes.
Those three channels that you spoke about.
Yes.
Is it written here in this?
It is written in there. Sorry, there's no pictures in here,
No,
unfortunately.
it is written in here somewhere.
Yeah, it is written in here. I do mention it. We will go into that when we have more time for more theory. I just want to we want to get have it nice and balanced. So I'll go into the three dantians and some of it. Again, this is basic, so I don't go too deep, too fast either. Otherwise, it's just going to be overloaded with info. We've only got three weekends and 3 1-hour sessions to do this. Okay. So this is what we're going to focus on here. If you go to the spine part, so we're on page 11 and 12. Okay, from 11 and 12. Awakening Chi, 10 actually. Awaken Energy talks a little bit about the spine. So the benefits of this practice, these exercises promote flexibility, connectivity, and prevent degeneration of the spine. The purpose through intentional breathing, visualization, and specific spinal movements involves stretching, flexing, twisting, and rotating, rocking, shaking, and bouncing. We learn how to look after the spine and keep it young, flexible, and healthy. Okay, so I'm teaching more principles. You can actually create your own exercises if you understand the basic movements of the spine. Thereafter, and we'll do that seated down, but later on you can, I create from time to time, I'll just rehash a whole brand new set of exercises for the spine. As long as you know what spine you're working, or what part of the spine you're working on, and the movements, the range of movements that you've got for that part of the spine, then you can combine it with all the other stuff. So these are some helpful hints here. We've got the smiling and feeling, intention and visualization. Okay, focus versus concentration, expanding and condensing, leading and driving, spiraling and streaming. Okay, so we're going to cover all of those in these exercises, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about there. Okay, so first exercise. Okay, smiling and feeling, and we're going to probably work on expanding and condensing with the first exercise. Okay, think of a sponge, right? If I take a sponge, and if I squeeze it really tight, and I stick it under water and I let it go. Okay, what happens? As it relaxes, yes, it's a pretty straightforward question, I promise you. I'm not trying to catch anybody out. So, think of yin as open space, relaxation and open space. When you create open space and you relax, chi flows inwards. Remember the different directions of chi? So when you're breathing in and you're relaxed and you mentally imagine open space, like all the atoms in your body moving away from each other because you're relaxing, even at an energetic level, then you create space for chi to seep into the system. Okay? When you breathe out and you concentrate the mind Okay, it's like taking diffused light. If you take diffused light like a mist, a luminous mist, and you concentrate it, it becomes brighter and more radiant until you get a gentle radiance. So yin is open space, receptivity. Yang is to condense until you get a gentle radiance. When I'm happy, and I'm like an introvert happy, that's a yin smile. Some people are so extrovert that when they smile, they just explode and they radiate. So you experience this, like you're just happy on the inside, that's more yin. But sometimes you're so happy that you can feel your face getting warm and glowing. That's when it moves into a yang smile. Okay, that's when yang is when the happiness is so concentrated that it actually radiates. Okay, yin, you're just like sublime and happy and just in the park and you breathing in, and it's like everything is drawn to you. Yin, open space, receptivity. Got that idea? Okay, so now we're going to focus that on the spine in particular. We're going to breathe up. We're going to start off in a fetal position like this. The sponge is your spine, and as we breathe in, we're going to imagine the spine opening up like a sponge and absorbing liquid light or like a luminous mist into it, and you're going to have, and your smile is going to grow bigger, 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 bigger. And we're going to flex the spine. So nice stretch, like you're waking up in the morning, and you want to look for that feeling when you stretch. It must feel good. Don't go too hard where it feels uncomfortable. That's too much. Then you're trying too hard. Breathe in, nice stretch, like you're waking up in the morning. And then when we breathe out, we're going to condense the chin to the spine. And we're going to go roll up into a little ball. And just squeezing out any stagnant, stale chi. Now as we breathe in, we open up like a little hedgehog waking up in the morning. And we get brighter and happier and more radiant until we're smiling out to the whole universe. Nice stretch. You can say good morning to the universe if you like. And then as you breathe out, you come down. It's as if we're breathing with the spinal cord. Okay, breathing in. Open up, open space, receptivity, drawing chi into the spine. As the spine becomes full, it begins to smile outwards, gentle radiance. Hold the breath in as you stretch gently, and then breathing out, condense the chi. Now you're squeezing the sponge again. Any excess chi flowing out of the body and out of the pores of the skin. Breathing in, let your smile grow bigger, bigger, bigger. And as you create open space, receptivity, drawing this luminous mist into the spine. Good feeling, good chi. And breathing out, condensing, condensing, condensing. Going back deep inside the body, deep inside the spinal cord. Let's do this 3 more times. Breathing in, open up. Let your smile grow bigger, bigger, bigger. Attracting chi into the spinal cord. Oh, nice stretch as you hold your breath and breathe out. Relax, more yin, relaxed. Breathing in, open space. Receptivity, absorbing chi, filling up till you're bright and radiant. And breathing out. Coming back down. Now just put your hands on your knees, rooted and grounded in love. We just roll up the spine and just rock it a little bit. Just a gentle rocking. Check in with the spine, smile to the neck, between the shoulder blades, lower back, down all the way to the sacrum and the coccyx. And then stop. And then just pay attention. How do I feel in the spine? Compared to when I started? No. Smile to the spine, feel the spine smiling back to you. Your spine is alive. There's millions of cells that are alive. They have their own awareness. And you can communicate with that through the field. Okay, now we're going to lead the chi versus driving the chi. So leading the chi is like when you suck something up through a straw, or when you grab the reins of a horse and you walk ahead of the horse and the horse follows you. The chi is going to follow your awareness as you smile up the length of the spine. So we're going to breathe out. I'm going to go into the earth as if I've got a bucket. I'm going to grab fresh chi, and then as I breathe in, just like sap, entering into the vine, as I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to smile up the length of the spine, and I'm going to allow the chi to follow my awareness until we get to the base of the skull. Then we're going to breathe out, go down, connect with the chi of the earth, with your heart, and with your intention, and then as you breathe in, let the chi smile up the length of the spine, and imagine liquid light following your awareness. Pay attention to each vertebra as you go up. And then again, on the out breath we come down, on the in breath we go up. So find your own rhythm here, smiling and leading the chi gently up the spine. Your awareness floats up through the spine like a balloon, a helium balloon going up into the sky. Breathing out. Don't forget to smile as you lead the chi, charging it with good feeling. And out. Okay, 3 more times. At your own pace. Your eyes can be open or closed. Sometimes it's nice to open the eyes and then to close them as well. It also helps you connect with yin, inward space, yang, out space. You can notice the different effects of open and closed eyes through the exercises. Okay, last round. Lightly contract the anus muscles as you're coming up towards the tailbone, helping to lead the chi up through the spine. And take a breather. Quick little exercise here. Just without any physical movement, start off at the tailbone. So that's when you know, when the whole channel's open up, then you can go on to the next exercises. So the first time when you started, like if you're just woken up in the morning, if you run your awareness through the spine, you're like, oh, okay, look, that's still parts of the body or spine is still asleep. You do a couple of breathing exercises, then all of a sudden when you do it, it just flows so smoothly like silk. Then you know, okay, cool, the channel's open, the chi's flowing smoothly. Okay.
How can I do that lying in my bed? When I wake up in the morning and my lower back is stiff.
Okay, so there's another exercise. Okay, this is going to be different. Okay, so I use micro compression of the spine. Okay, so sit up straight. So you can do this obviously lying down. So go to your tailbone. Now imagine that you've got micro muscles, not the gross muscles, micro muscles just around the spinal cord. Now try and just squeeze, like it's like taking, you know when you take somebody's finger, give me your finger, and you just squeeze it gently. Try and take the muscles just around the coccyx and the sacrum, and just very gently imagine that you're squeezing it like you would squeeze a finger. So try that. On the in-breath, imagine that you're squeezing. Or you can do it on the out-breath, doesn't matter which one. But I like to use on the in-breath. Actually do it on both. On the out-breath, carry on squeezing gently. Just, it's more mental, so it's literally like 2%, 3%. Now come up a little bit higher to just below here, below the kidneys. Yeah. Now, as you breathe in, imagine that you're micro-squeezing the muscles around that spine. When you breathe out, keep squeezing it gently, just gently like you're squeezing a finger. Now move up to the next section, just above that. As you breathe in, gently squeeze, just imagining that you're squeezing. And breathing out, condensing, squeezing those micro muscles. Now you come up to just below the shoulder blades. As you breathe in, imagine that you're contracting the micro muscles around the spinal cord there. Don't forget to smile. Turn up your smile. Don't get too serious. When you breathe out, keep squeezing, holding that finger. Squeeze. It's like you're giving it a gentle hug or like a hand squeeze. Come between the spine, between the shoulder blades. Breathe in. Lightly contract the micro muscles. As you breathe out, keep on contracting. Smiling to that spine. Come up to just before you get to the neck. Breathe in. Lightly contract the micro muscles around the spine. As you breathe out, keep contracting them. Give it a nice little squeeze and relax. Then come up into the neck. See if, as you breathe in, see if you can squeeze the micro muscles just in the spine. And as you breathe out, keep it. And then to the base of the skull. One more in and out breath. Now you go back to the tailbone. Now, see if you can squeeze in a succession like this. On one in-breath, squeeze, 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 squeeze as you're going all the way up. Okay, so as you squeeze and then relax and squeeze the next part, but all in one in-breath. Long, lengthen that in-breath. And breathe out. It's like you squeezing a toothpaste tube. Okay, try that again. Do that for 3 breaths. And one last time. Don't skip any parts of, make sure every vertebra is included in this exercise. And when you're ready, breathe out, relax. Okay. How many of you felt like it was actual muscles being squeezed? Okay. How did you? Struggled with that one a little bit. That's
yeah,
okay.
you know, my spine's, there's a lot of blockages.
Yeah. So the more you practice, obviously, the better you get, but that's okay because you know that you've got an unusual relationship with the spine. That's why these exercises become quite valuable, especially if you just repeat them over and over. It'll change it. Because even in, it might not completely heal the spinal condition, but if you've got fresh chi that you're consciously pulling or driving or running through the spine continuously, you're giving it nourishment. And that will help it a lot in terms of pain, being able to get to that. Plus, each time you do these exercises, you're actually strengthening, you're giving more flexibility to the spine. It's non-invasive, it's not like weights or like trying to do deadlifts or anything like this. And you do that regularly, you'll be surprised how you'll age better, even with the condition. So, okay, so we've done flexing, okay, we've done rolling up the spine, leading the chi. We've played with 2 little techniques in terms of just how to focus, and then you can focus. So if you find an area of the spine that's just a bit grey, or you're not feeling very connected to it, then you just go to that one, and every time you breathe in and out, you tense and relax the micro muscles, and then you smile into that area until it feels like you connect with it. Then you got it, then you smile through it a few times, and when you feel that you've got that, then you know, okay, now the chi's flat. Now you move to the next part, and you can do that consciously. So you don't always have to work on the whole spine even. If you know you've got a problematic issue, then you focus in on that issue. Love it, smile to it, give it your awareness, and then you use these techniques to just move chi into that area so they can get nourished.
So,
Right?
and with that exercises also activate the vagus nerve too.
Yeah. So you can do the same thing down the thrusting channel. You can do those micro compressions at the center of the body. There are muscles, okay? What are they muscles called? Like sphincter muscles inside the brain, inside the throat, by the diaphragm and down. Those sphincter muscles you can learn to actually tense and relax to also help use as chi pumps. So you can do that, and you can do it down the front. I mean, you can even focus on this here, the channel here, and I can imagine squeezing it and then relaxing it. And just the intention will actually, if you do it a few times, the micro muscles will start to obey. Because also think about this, like how do you actually move your finger? Have you ever thought about that? You're like, oh no, it sends a message, but how did the message get sent in the first place? It's through intention. It's actually a form of PK. Okay, how we actually move that. So the physical thing is responding to a mental intention, and then for some reason it just kind of works. Anyway, okay. So next one, we're going to come down. So now instead of leading the chi, we're going to push the chi from behind. Okay, it's like you've got a stubborn donkey and you're pushing it from behind. So we're going to imagine that the spine is full of chi, and we're going to use a hand movement to help with the visualization, but then you can also leave the hand movement. It just helps sometimes to do movements. So we're going to do this. We're going to go down. We're going to go up, and then it's like a duck drinking water. I'm going to imagine I'm drinking chi, and it's going to go into the spine, full of the spine. Now I'm going to push the chi down as I smile, and I'm going to feel like I'm pushing chi down through the spine all the way to the bottom. Take a deep breath in again. Breathe out. Okay, now you can follow me. We come up, looking up first. As you're breathing in, filling up like you're taking a big drink of chi, straightening the spine. And then as you breathe out, push the chi from behind. So we call this driving or pushing chi. Full out breath, you go down the whole length of the spine. And we go again, down. As we come up, breathe in. Taking as much good chi, loaded with smiling, good intentions. Mentally swallow the chi and push it down the spine, smiling down the length. Smile to each vertebra as you go. Go again. Down, up. Ready as you breathe out. Let your awareness sink down through the spine, pushing the chi ahead of itself. At the end, a little bit of an extra smile. And one more time. Now we're going to take away the hand movement. Just do this with your mind. Come up. Chi is full. The spine is full of chi. As you breathe out, just use your awareness to push the chi down. Turn up the smile as you go down. Let the smile get bigger, bigger, bigger until you get to the tailbone. Okay, again. One more time. And as you breathe out, let the chi, give it weight. And smile bigger, bigger as you go down the length of the spine. And relax and open, just gently rock it out. Okay. All these little techniques, you might not see it now, but later on become very valuable in all the other exercises. So this is just laying a foundation for the rest of the course as well in terms of when we're doing other stuff. Okay, so next, twisting. So now we're going to spiral chi. So you can spiral and lead, and you can spiral and push chi also. Okay, or you can just allow chi. So think about, so when I pull a plug out of a bath and the water does this, goes shh, goes into the bath. Now, if you're seeing it from the perspective of the underneath the plug, the pipe, if you breathe in, you're sucking the water in. Okay. If you think of it from the perspective of outside the plug, and you're the air, you're kind of pushing the water in. If that makes sense. So you can use both of those, or like gravity pulls, okay, whereas pressure pushes. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flex the spine. Let me demonstrate once. So everybody take their right hand. Put your thumb up. So the fingers go this way. So if you're going up, the chi goes that way. If it goes down, it goes that way. Got it. So use that as an anchor. If you prefer to use the left hand, you can. It doesn't matter which direction really. But okay, so if I'm going to go this way, as I come forward, that's the way I'm going to spin it. Which means I'm going to take the chi from the top down. If I go this way, and I'm coming this way, so if I put my fingers in the way that I'm coming, then the chi is going to come up. Does that make sense? Everybody got that? Okay, so here, when you're wringing out the spine, like a dirty cloth, when you're wringing it up, when you're doing washing, let go of any stagnant or dirty chi or unuseful chi. So we breathe out. Be aware of which direction it's going to be going in. Okay. Now, as I come forward, chi spirals, starts spiraling at the top. And then, as you breathe out, goes all the way down. So you can use the in or the out breath to push, spiral it through the spine, through the length of the spine. Take another deep breath in. Twist to the other side. Now we're going to spiral for the direction I'm going in, will be the chi coming up. So, as I come forward, chi rising, and I spiral up and through the spine. Don't forget to smile, let your smile get bigger and bigger. Then we go to the other side, wringing out the spine. So nice stretch, you're looking for a nice stretch, like when you wake up in the morning and you just get that stretch on the spot. Now we come forward, spiral the chi whatever direction. Follow it all the way through the length of the spine. And then when you're breathing out to the other side. Coming forward, spiraling the chi through the spine, up or down, depending on which way you're going.
Just a quick question about the breath.
Yes.
During this, can you just explain the breath? So as you go from the top.
Which way are we turning? Okay, we're turning this way. Okay, so we turn like this. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is my right hand. When I come back, that's going to spiral this way. So what I'm going to do, what I will do is I'll breathe in first. So as I come in, I breathe in. And then as I breathe out, I'm going to spiral and push on the out breath, coming down. Did that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
When I do the other side, because I'm going to use the in breath to suck it through the whole spine. So when I come forward, I'm going to be breathing in, breathing in, breathing in, breathing in. And then when I breathe out, I just let it go through out of the crown.
Okay, all right.
And when I breathe out, because I'm wanting to push on the way down, so I'll come forward, breathing in, see it spiraling like a universe, and it starts coming to the end. And then as I breathe out, I keep going, and then I corkscrew it down. Did that make sense? Okay, try that for a couple of turns, left and right. Okay. Okay, ready, go. You can do it 3 times on each side. So it's 1 on each side is one set. Coming forward. And remember, you can use your hand to help the movement if you want to, as an anchor. Forward. One last one on each side. Don't forget to smile and relax while you do the exercise. Don't try too hard. Otherwise you mentally sabotage yourself. Yes, good. So what you did there also, that micro turning like this
Yeah.
to help you follow the chi. Also very good little way, a mental anchor to help with the exercise, going both directions. That micro, just rocking in a circle like that, can also help you with the mind and your... So those little exercises helps your focus and your concentration, so your brain doesn't go all over the place.
Yeah.
Or you don't feel like you're getting it, and you do something like that, and then when you click it, and then it becomes less important to have to do that. But they help a lot, specifically in the beginning. Okay, we all good so far? Okay, so, next one. Here's going to be just a combination. We're going to just breathe into the spine, and we're going to let the chi do its own thing. So it's going to be like a royal bow. We're going to breathe, we're going to turn and look backwards, and we're going to just flex the spine. And then when we breathe in, we're going to roll up. And just allow the chi to go up through the spine. Then we're going to breathe out, we're going to go to the other side. Just gently flexing to the side. And then as you come forward, just lead the chi up the spine, let it go up. I like to imagine leaves unfolding, flowers blooming, fruit developing. Then you come down, rolling up, smiling, enjoying the spine, and then and coming up. Just giving your awareness. Okay, one more on each side. And rolling up. And down. Generally when we do a bowing maneuvers, or we want to cultivate humility and just becoming humble and empty. Because with humility comes emptiness, and with emptiness you're creating space for fresh chi. People that are full of pride are full of self and ego, and shake that out once you finish the exercise. So when you're full of self, that's why selfishness is such an issue with chi, and that's why people get very stagnant and toxic when they're in a selfish state of mind, because there's no space for fresh chi to come in, because they're arrogant, self-centered, they're just so full of self that the universe can't even exchange with them. That's why they feel so disconnected, funny enough. Did that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Then, let's see. Okay, so last one. Is this going to be like this? Yeah, no, not last one. Okay, so now we're going to start. So again, this is also really nice. We're going to start, so you want to isolate different parts of the spine. So if I isolate the top of the spine, you look like an Indian. Okay, you're either doing this, or you're doing this. Okay? Actually, yeah, let's work our way down. So using the hand thing, we're going to go in that direction. So you can do this. Just starting. Now while you're doing that, imagine the chi is spiraling inside the spine, and maybe just around the outside of the spine as well. Now you want to drop that just to the base of the neck. So we want to just rotate that. Now some of you may struggle with the coordination of this, that's okay. Just give it a go. Okay? Then you're going to drop it down to between the shoulder blades. So only that part of the spine is moving in a horizontal circle. And while you're doing that, so notice my crown is staying pretty stable. Now we bring it down to the solar plex. This is the physical movement. So if you put your hands there, that spine is moving in a circle. And you can refine that down. Okay, we drop it down to the lower back. Yeah, let me sit down now. That then there's the belly buttons coming forward, like that. Try and keep the head dead still while you're doing, just moving that part of the spine. Okay, now we try to work our way up, starting just here by the pelvic. So that goes back in a circle. So only that part of the spine.
Direction now.
Yeah, now we're going up. Yeah, use your thumb. Okay, do that. Now come up to behind the solar plex. Now just isolating that part of the spine, we're just rolling it. And think here like you're stirring a cauldron, like you're stirring a pot of soup, you're stirring the chi inside there. So you're just holding the intention, you're using the movement. Now bring it up to between the shoulder blades. Okay, and I'll show you exactly what we're going to do with the energy once we've done this. Now moving just the base of the neck. And then the top of the head. Okay. So we've gone up and down like this. Now, if you take a deep breath in, gather the chi. Now we're going to create a huge spiral down and through the body and around the body. Thumb, check the direction. As you breathe out, now see the chi like a gentle whirlwind passing through the body. Don't forget to smile. Okay, 1. Now we come up again. Earth chi rising. Gather heaven chi. See it spiraling like a tornado developing. A nice tornado. As you breathe out, spiral your awareness through the body like you just did with that movement. It's like the chi still moving. Earth chi rising. Connecting with heaven. Entering in through the crown of the head and spiraling around the outside of the body. Gentle whirlwind of chi. And one last time. Hands go out. Heaven chi. Coming together in a gentle whirlwind, pushing down on the out breath. Now we're going to reverse it. Now the chi is going to spiral up. Thumb up. Got it? So it's going to come that way. So we're going to gather. It's going to spiral around. And we drop the hands down. So that's one way of doing it. If that's a little bit complicated, you can also just do this while it's spiraling. Hands come up. And it spirals, spirals, spirals. Heaven chi, connect with earth chi. So you can choose your exercise there. Let's do this one first. Spiraling and pulling it through the body. Connect with heaven with your palms. Turn down, connect with earth. And again up. Spiral through. And down. Now if you want to try this one, chi rising and spiraling through the body. And down. This is going both directions now. Spiral down, gather, spiral up. And down. Remember, chi follows your awareness, your attention. And last one. And check it out. Okay. Just to end off, we're going to do just a little bit of a spinal roll, a wave. This is called a wave. Okay. Now, you know when a hose pipe, when you turn a hose pipe on, nobody's holding it, it goes shoo, shoo, shoo. So while you're doing this wave, I want you to imagine chi streaming. This is called streaming. It's a continuous flow of chi through the spine. Okay. While you're doing this, from the bottom all the way up and out. And then you're aware of it up. And you just allow it to keep going. And it's just a gentle snaking like a hose pipe. For a wave. Now take that same wave from side to side, up through the spine. Again, you're like a hose pipe. If you want, you can actually put your hands and then you lift the shoulders to help with the spinal flex. So later on this will become movements like this. If you want to try the hand movement, you can as well. And you go side to side. Or you can just do this. But again, just and slowly down. Okay, last one. We're going to lead with the head. It's like you're swimming through something. And again, the chi's moving down through the spine and you're swimming up to heaven. It's like a salmon swimming up to the source of a river. Heaven is the source. And look for the stretch between the spine. Okay. And slow that down. Okay, take a deep breath in. Follow the chi down through the spine. Smile. As you breathe in, sort of let your smile up through the spine. Okay, and last exercise for the day. We're going to put our hands together. Okay. So the first one, we're going to be a samurai, and our hands are going to be a sword, and we're going to cut. So we're going to start cutting. So first we're going to start off with the shoulders. Just open the shoulders a few times. Okay. Now the whole idea here is the flexing of the spine and relaxing of the spine to absorb and to wring out unnecessary chi. So we're going to roll that first, and then we're going to bring the hand over to behind the ear, and we're going to look in the opposite direction. We're going to do a figure 8. Then we're going to come to the other side, over. This is at the height of the ear and shoulder. So
Can you turn around when you're doing this?
Yeah, sure. So if I'm standing, it'll be this movement, yeah, like there. Then I'm going to come. So this is a whole spine movement. I'm going to come over. And again, don't stretch too hard. You want to keep it as a nice, gentle, comfortable stretch. Now we're going to bring the hands down to below the shoulder. Okay, tracing a figure 8. You want to bring the shoulders back as far as possible and looking over the other shoulder. And around. Okay, and around. And we come back up to the shoulder height. Flexing. Every time you relax, breathe in chi. Every time you flex, wring out chi. Now we come up to the height of the crown of the head. Okay? And then slowly snake your way down. Okay, that's the whole. There, and then there. Just bringing out the spine. And then coming back up. As we get to the chest, again, shoulder, shoulder, slightly smaller, slightly smaller. Come to prayer pose and just appreciate your spine. Enjoy it. Okay. Now we're going to do this in reverse. So now we're going to elbow back and over. Back and over. Back and over. Now we're going to lead with the fingertips. Also looking in the opposite direction, we're going to come up. Figure of 8. Up. Looking up diagonally. The other side. Now we come down to the ear height. Looking sideways. Looking sideways. Coming down to just below the shoulder. Looking sideways. Looking sideways. Let me come like this. So we come in. Come in. Come in. Come in. And down. Each time you breathe in and you relax, feeling like you're absorbing chi. And we're going to come back now to the heart. And bring the elbow over. Elbow over. Smaller. Smaller. Prayer pose. And gently begin to bounce. Put your hands on your knees and bounce. So your shoulders come up and down. You can lift it, drop your shoulders also. Make a little noise so you can hear that you're bouncing, right? And speed it up, so it's this massages the internal organs tremendously. And slower, deeper ones. If you can't do it, then just take a break from that. And then relax it out. Yeah. You can also test that if you're standing up, if you can do gentle ones. If you can't, then you stay away from that exercise. Huh? Okay. Okay, that was just to close that off. Okay, take a deep breath in. Okay, so just go into the body let's go just for 30 seconds. Just breathe, relax, and just observe and feel. And smile. Just take notes of when you came into the class or the exercise that you've done and then how you're feeling now. Smile to the belly, heart and head, the 3 dantians. If you want to open your palms on your legs, just to show receptivity to the universe and to all the energies around you. Tongue touching the roof of the mouth. Even more relaxed breathing, let go, don't try anything. Let your body breathe at the speed it wants to breathe. Be aware of any thoughts passing through the mind, just watch them like clouds passing through the sky. Watch any feelings and emotions that are there or not there. And as we come to the end, just connect with gravity again. Feel the earth holding you to herself. Feel that she's just holding you in her bosom. You're like a little child, rooted, grounded, in love. Okay, and then open your eyes when you're ready. Okay, so just to sum up, well, okay, firstly, let's just touch in. I think we've gone a little bit over time, but that's okay. Anybody want to ask anything? Anybody want to say anything? Are we all good? So this spinal exercise I'll use as a warm-up. Generally, before I start meditating, I'll go through those quickly, maybe allocate 5 to 10 minutes max, before I actually go into some of the other formulas. And I use that particular set of movements, whether I'm standing, because you can modify those into standing movements, which we'll probably do maybe on Tuesday as a warm-up, and I'll show you now then the variety of that, and you've got an idea of the internal element of what you're doing when you're doing the movements, and the different range of things that you can imagine while you're doing it. And there's no end to those if you're very creative. And that really also just prepares the mind, because like now your mind is actually, even though we've taken it over a longer period of time, if you do that in 10 minutes, your whole system's now ready to actually go into a deeper, more sustainable form of meditation or QiGong practice. And that's the whole basis of that, is laying a good foundation. Okay, and that's it. How are we all doing? Good. Okay.